The rumors around your Miami Heat have not slowed down, just under 24 hours away from the 2024 deadline passing, because their buyout market is heating up. And on today's show, we are going to look at 8 targets that could be bought out, that have already been bought out, that could be signing to join the Miami Heat roster as they make a push towards the 2024 NBA playoffs. And I want to let y'all know to be on the lookout, because when the Heat make a move, and I truly do believe they will sign someone to the roster because they have a couple open spots with Drew Smith's injury. They already have an open roster spot. They will sign someone off the buyout market. We'll make a video, so hit that sub button and be on the lookout. I do want to make note of something real quick, and because the Heat are involved in this handicap system, due to CBA rules, FCJ McCollum and Grant Williams, by the way, teams that are in the luxury tax are not able to sign people bought out that were making a pre-existing $12.4 million or more. So what does that mean exactly? Well, the the Spencer Dinwiddies of the world, Marcus Morris Sr., who were making $17, $19 million. Kyle Lowry was making $29. Obviously, he wouldn't return to Miami anyway. Just the way to simplify it is that the 7 teams you see on screen, which includes the Miami Heat, cannot sign someone in the buyout market that was already making $12.4 million. So Dinwiddie can't be signed by Miami, and it limits the people the Heat can target in the buyout market. I also do want to make note that our good old pal, PJ Tucker, who I was convinced was going to join the Miami Heat because I assumed he was going to be bought out, well, that's actually not going to happen. The reports coming out of LA is that he is going to stay with the Clippers, even though he's not playing. So no PJ Tucker to Miami, unless something changes and he does end up getting bought out. But at least as of now, doesn't look like Tuck's coming back to the 305. So let's jump into some buyout targets. And the first name is someone who could return to the 305, Victor Oladipo. No surprise here that he was bought out by the Memphis Grizzlies, and I'm all in on Depot Day part 1,000. Could he help this Heat team? Probably not, but I would just like it for the vibes. He obviously has not played this season after once again sustaining an injury that would take a year length in recovery in the postseason. It was a devastating injury Oladipo suffered while playing against the Milwaukee Bucks for the Miami Heat in the first round of last year's playoffs. I got to be honest. If Depot could return this season and maybe give some outside perimeter defense for Miami, I could be in. I don't expect that whatsoever, but I would just take Depot to bring him back to the 305 because, well, it's just electric, and why not bring Oladipo back every single year? Would you bring back Victor Oladipo? If you would, type Y for yes. If you're all good on Depot Day part 3 or 4, I forget which day it actually is, type your ends down below in the comment section. Next person on the list, Otto Porter Jr. has not been bought out officially right now, but I think he will be. Traded to the Jazz from the Toronto Raptors as Kelly Olynyk and Ochai Agbaji head to the Six in exchange for a first-round pick, Kira Lewis, and Otto Porter Jr. If the Heat want to add some wing defense and some veteran leadership coming off the bench, I don't know how much he would play, but Otto Porter Jr. is someone that I could see Miami targeting. He made under $12.5 million. He has experience playing in the postseason, can knock down some threes if needed in spot situations. Wouldn't be surprised if the former Georgetown Hoya is in the 305. One of my favorite targets on this list is Thaddeus Young, the left-hander, the veteran. Listen, he is someone who could bring some valuable leadership to Miami. Listen, he's not going to be the biggest guy when it comes to stats, but he's 6'8". He can play the 4 a little bit. The only knock I have on Thad Young is his inability to space the floor. Primarily lives at that free throw line and below, but he's experienced. He can handle the rock. He has good length. He could slide in and play a defensive front-courted position next to Jimmy and Bam. Thad Young is someone I really have my eyes on, and if I had to bet on anyone being a Miami Heat basketball player, I think Thad Young would the guy I'd put my chips on. Another one that would be pretty damn close to being at the top of my list, and top of my prediction list as well is Danilo Gallinari, the forward, who Pat Riley and the Miami Heat have tried to acquire for some time now. 3 or 4 years ago, they tried to sign Gallo. Didn't work. He ended up signing with the Boston Celtics. I feel like we have been rumored and linked to Danilo Gallinari about 2 or 3 times in the last 6 or 7 years. Could this be the time he actually finds his way to the 305? Gets bought out? I believe this will be the time. He's probably the most productive guy on our list of today's targets. We got 4 more targets to get to, but first I got to tell you about Prize Picks. Get a $100 first deposit match when you head to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. Daily fantasy made easy. Just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You win up to 25 times your money. My selections, you see them on screen. I can win up to 10 times my money with these picks. More than the freebie Patrick Mahomes, half a passing yards. More than Brock Purdy, 11.5 rushing yards. More than Isaiah Pacheco, rushing and receiving touchdowns. And why not? Let's get crafty with it. The fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, more than half a fantasy score. Catches 1 pass for 10 yards. I'm in. You could take my picks, Meek Mills, Andrew Schultz, the scumbag in New York, Josh Hart's picks as well. They're all on Prize Picks. You could take celebrities. You can look at other people's picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Code CLNS. First deposit match up to $100. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. How about an interesting name here in the form of Killian Hayes, a former 7th overall pick out of France in the 2020 draft class. So he was a former 7th overall pick, first round lottery talent here, but he has been statistically one of the worst players in the entire NBA. No, I'm not kidding. Statistically, look it up. He's been as bad as it gets in the NBA. But listen, he was drafted 7th overall. I know that was 3 years ago, but people in the NBA thought he had the talent and potential to be a top player in this league. And sure, would he help Miami win a title this season? Probably not. What he would be able to do is maybe help the Heat win a title in 2 to 3 seasons. Like, if the Heat brought him in and under this organization, this coaching staff, had him as a project, a reclamation project, if you will, let him get some shots up, practice with the Miami Heat, get some leadership from the veterans in the 305, you're telling me he wouldn't be able to turn around his career? I love being able to say we can take these chances on these players that have been drafted high and haven't panned out because of how good our organization and developmental system is. I'd absolutely take a shot on Killian Hayes to see if he can unlock the talent NBA scouts believed he had just mere 3 years ago. Who is your top buyout target, though? I got mine in Thaddeus Young and Danilo Gallinari with a little sprinkle of Killian Hayes, but who is your top buyout target for me? Drop a name down below. The next one on this list has been linked to Miami in the trade market, has also been linked in the buyout market in the form of Andre Drummond, the center from the Chicago Bulls. He was not dealt from the Windy City at the trade deadline. He's had a terrific season, 8 points per game, 8.5 boards as well. He's just one of the better backup bigs in the NBA in terms of gobbling up rebounds and being able to finish in the pick and roll. One issue with this, even though Barry Jackson and the Miami Herald linked Andre Drummond to the Miami Heat as a potential buyout target, as he makes way under that $12.5 million cap that he can sign people at, there was absolutely no chance the Chicago Bulls buy him out. There was talks about them potentially fetching multiple second-round picks or even a first-round pick in exchange for Drummond at the deadline. They didn't trade him for that before that deadline passed. Well, why would they buy him out and get nothing in return? So don't buy into any smoke of Andre Drummond coming to Miami. One person I could buy into is Delon Wright, the guard for the Washington Wizards. He's absolutely buried on that roster and could be someone that is on the free agent market in just a few couple days if the Wizards do elect to move on from the former Utah Ute. I like Wright's game. 6'5", he's lengthy, he can defend. The only issue I have with Delon Wright is his inability to score the basketball. He can still dish it off and play make for others. 2.7 assists per night for the Wizards in very limited playing time. That is very intriguing to me. A little point of attack defender off the bench who can facilitate. He just can't space the floor. Doesn't have a good jumper. That's the only concern. But when you're at the buyout market, most of these guys really don't bring too much to the table. So take it as it is. Final name on the list, the wrong Lopez, if you ask me. Robin is going to be on that buyout market. Not all of these guys have been bought out yet, or they might not be bought out. Robin Lopez is one of the guys that is already on the market. 7-footer from Stanford, the brother of Brook Lopez, obviously. He is just a non-factor. Not surprised that he was bought out immediately after being dealt to the Sacramento Kings at the deadline from the Milwaukee Bucks. I only put him on here because the Heat can be looking at and probably will look at a potential backup center to fill the void of Thomas Bryant being shit and add someone to the front court with Bam and Kevin Love doing most of the work. Could it be Robin Lopez? Maybe. I wouldn't be thrilled with it. I'd much rather go like the power forward route of Thad Young and maybe Danilo Gallinari rather than a backup center that provides you absolutely nothing. That will do it on today's show. 8 buyout targets for the Miami Heat. Make sure you subscribe because if we do sign someone, which I expect to happen, we will make a video. I'll keep you updated on the latest Miami Heat news, so hit that sub button. And I also want you to follow me on Twitter, too, at Nic_Rohloff, because if the Heat do sign someone on the buyout market, you will hear about it first on my Twitter, and then I will come on to the YouTube streets and make a video. So the best way to stay up to date on Heat news and rumors, well, follow me on Twitter and subscribe to the channel. So go ahead and do that so you never miss a thing.